wanna get lo que esperas. Dime qué quieres ver.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Now then, in today's tutorial, beautiful ones, I'm going to be showing us all a quick tip how to make your foundation last all day, and that's even without using a 24-hour stay foundation. So if that sounds like something you guys want to find out more about, keep watching. So beautiful ones, there's going to come a time, isn't there, when we want our foundations to last more than just the given 5 or 6 hours most foundations last on skin. So we need to find a way to make it last maybe 12 hours, certainly all day, from the minute you put it on in the morning until you rinse it off or remove it at night time. And to do my tip today, you'll need 3 products, including the foundation you're going to be using. And the first thing we need is a primer. This is quite a creamy sort of primer. Don't use a gel primer because the results won't be the same. And you'll also need a powder. Now this is the Revolution IRL, or in real life, duo powder. So in this one is a pressed powder and a loose powder. You can use this technique, do this technique using both pressed and loose powders too. But and as with all my tutorials, beautiful ones, the point behind today's video or tip, makeup, it's not even a tip, it's a process or a method, is to save you money, so you don't have to go out there and buy yourself, you know, a new 24-hour foundation, 24-hour stay foundation. You can just transform the one you have, a regular foundation, into a longer wearing or a very long wearing foundation. And do you know what, guys? Out of all the hundreds upon hundreds of foundations I've accumulated over the past 6 months, I keep being drawn back to this one. And this is a L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Foundation in shade 3C. I think that's something like Rose Beige. Yeah, I think this is Rose Beige. I have 2 of these in 2 different shades. One I wear for winter, one in summer. So I wear the lighter one in winter. Shall I show you how to? Okay, I'll show you how to do this tip. Today's video will be a bit shorter, guys. I'm trying to keep my videos as snappy and as quick and as informative as possible. And the bin men are on the way as well too, and they're pretty noisy, so I ought to get this done really, oughtn't I? So guys, go and get your primer. Okay, and we'll put a good layer of him on, and do make sure it's a silicone based primer, because just get some of him on the back of my hand. I'll tell you why you need a silicone based primer as I slap this on my face. Shall I save time for you guys out there, because you don't want to be watching me all day. Some of you may do. I certainly wouldn't want to sit and watch a man. Okay, sorry guys, it's a bit of a scatter. How is your Thanksgiving, by the way, guys? I'm sorry, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving in England, but I know American people do, and I know it's a big deal. So happy Thanksgiving to all of my beautiful American supporters out there. Love you all, and I love all of you, not just the American ones. I love all of you from all over the world. Right, okay, shall I get this on this old face rather than... Right, I'm going to use my foundation, but you can just use fingers if you want, guys. And the reason we're using a silicone-based... Just dab some of that off on the back of my hand. The reason we're using a silicone-based primer is because this bonds with the skin pretty much as soon as it touches your skin. Silicones provide like a waterproof layer between your skin and foundation, thus giving us our first stage of longevity, which is what today's tutorial is all about, isn't it, beautiful ones? And what I'd like to do is just to work this in, and I apply it with a brush just for 2 reasons really. First reason is the fact that you can get a much more even, much more perfected finish using something like a primer and a foundation brush. And the second reason is hygiene. I think we use our fingers far too much really, and if you just use a clean makeup brush and just wash it after each use, do you know what I mean, beautiful ones? Shall I stop saying do you know what I mean, because I'm going to be saying that a lot today, I've got a feeling. So that's a thin layer of him on my face. Step 1 completed. If you're doing this in the morning, guys, give your primer maybe 2 or 3 minutes just to set. Do you know what I mean? So that it's, yep, that's totally dried. Now put that on about, I've remembered the clock's over there today, which is good. About 3 minutes ago now, and that's totally dried. And I didn't use any moisturizer or serum or anything, because I firmly believe that they can interact or mess with foundations, and they don't give you a truer makeup look at the end of the day. So I never ever prep my skin, ever. I just don't. Obviously I wear moisturizer, I wear serums at night time. That's the only skincare I use. But you don't have to do as I say, or do as I do. Just, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Just do what you want, basically, guys, is what I'm trying to say in my usual fumbly way. But if you do use layers upon layers of moisturizer, serum and stuff underneath the foundation, it certainly won't last as long as if you just do it without. So that's what you need to do. And I've said that in a very fumbly, sort of confusing way. I'm so sorry, beautiful ones. Step 2 is to powder, the primer which we've just applied to our face, and what that will do is just to set that all in place. So a very fine dusting of powder just to set the primer. Okay, that's way too much. Still too much. That's better now, I think. So, and you can always, you know what I mean, just dub it off on the back of your hand. It's just, and this is a pure white powder, and I'm in love with white powders. Don't know why. I just guess that they look pure and that they match with any skin tone, including very dark skin tones. They can sometimes leave quite an ashy sort of look on very dark skin. So maybe just try one if you're intrigued. But the vast majority of skin tones can accept white powders because they're very, very sheer. Do you know what I mean? Right, shall I shut up and... waffling, sorry guys. And then what I like to do, guys, is just to go over my the powder primer combo, if that's what we can call it, and just do these circular motions, because what I'm aiming to do here is to set the primer as much as possible. So we're starting off with basically a drier than if I just hadn't powdered the primer down, a dry sort of canvas really to apply a foundation with. And I think you'll find that with this technique, any foundation will last all day and all night, possibly too. This is a great powder, and it has to be quite finely milled, although this one is very, very good. And I've got quite a few white powders. Do try and use a loose powder because obviously the particle size is already predetermined, aren't they, by the fact that the powder is loose. Whereas if you're using a pressed powder, sometimes you can pick up bigger lumps, which will interfere with the results in the end. So, okay, so that's basically primer and powder. So we've set the primer with the powder. Now it's time for stage 3, which is foundation. So that's my True Match L'Oreal Super Blendable foundation on the back of that hand, and it's a really, really lovely foundation. I have to concede and take my hat off to L'Oreal. And the shade range is phenomenal. So it seems really counterintuitive, doesn't it, putting powder on before foundation and primer? But putting that layer of powder on between the primer and the foundation will make a big difference. And then the end stage as well, or the step 4, will seal the deal basically. So I'm just going to use a cheap old sponge. You can use anything really, but do try to use a sponge if you can. And all I'm going to do first of all is just to buff that into the back of my hand, so I'm not putting down so much product onto my face. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes if you just go in, if you put the foundation onto the sponge and then put that directly onto your face, you'll end up with walloping great big patches of foundation, whereas if you buff in first, it gives you a much more natural finish. Are you all okay, guys? What are your plans for the weekend? I've got such a busy weekend ahead. I have. And I'm pressing this into my skin. Can you see? I'm buffing it, I guess you could call it, couldn't you? I'm not doing circular motions yet, because what I'm aiming to do is to not disturb the powder and the primer, which I have just popped onto my 50-year-old face. Yeah, we're talking about Thanksgiving, weren't we, guys? No, in England, I don't think we've ever had Thanksgiving. We certainly celebrate Christmas, but who doesn't? But what's it all about? What are we actually thanking? Are we thanking for the richness in our lives, or is it, I'm very, very ignorant about Thanksgiving? But being a British person, I didn't really have a reason to look into it. I guess I could just go on Google, couldn't I, and find out what Thanksgiving is. But I do know it's a big deal in the States, and that brings me on to subject 2, is the amount of public holidays we have in Britain. I think we have something like 3 a year. No, I'm being silly there, but do you know what I mean? We certainly don't have anywhere near as many as some countries in the world. Right, okay, so that's my layer of foundation on now. This moustache is trying to, okay, it's doing its thing, it's trying to kill me again, but it's my issue. And the final step to seal the deal on the 24-hour stay, well, it probably won't be 24 hours, something like 50, it's certainly all day and all night, as I've said many ad nauseum today, is to powder what we've just done. So we put primer on our face first, we powdered that down, and then we put foundation. Now we're going to go in with another layer of powder, although we're going to apply it very differently than we did first of all. So you can either do this with a brush or a beauty blender. However, I'm going to use my flat contouring brush because I'm aiming to try and push this into the skin, so you won't be able to see that on the end there because that's so white, but all I'm doing here is just stippling the powder into the foundation and the primer, which yeah, powder. Sorry guys, one of those mornings, do you know what I mean? No, it's not, I'm kidding, but so I'll just get a little bit more powder. You don't have to use so much powder though, but certainly enough to set, and this will give you a very, very matte look to start off with, guys, but as the whole lot starts to cook and the day progresses, it will all start to come together and look amazing. Where to hold your brush when you're doing this technique? I wouldn't say hold it there, I'd say hold it close to the bristles, because that way you can really, really push that into the skin. Do you know what I mean, guys? Why do I keep saying, do you know what I mean? I know you know what I mean, it's just, what was the boxer who used to say that? Was it Harry someone? Or, so I can't remember, I've never been a fan of boxing, I think it's foul, but I must learn to stop saying, do you know what I mean? If anyone can suggest anything other than me saying, do you know what I mean? I was about to say it again. Suggestions would be greatly appreciated, guys. Mind you, they're idiosyncrasies, aren't they? And we all have them, don't we, beautiful ones? And we'd all be the same if we didn't, you know, have our little idiosyncrasies, wouldn't we? Or would we? Would we? Wouldn't we? Who knows? Right. So this is basically the final look. So as you can see, my skin now looks flawless. Feels bone dry to the touch, and that's what you want. You don't want any of that stickiness. And what we've aimed to do by adding 2 layers of powder is to basically seal in the primer first of all, and then adding the foundation on top, and then by going in with the second layer of powder, although we applied it very, very differently, didn't we? We've sealed the whole lot up now, so this will last all day. So just go in with your regular makeup now. There is a technique to how to make concealer last all day, and that'll be a different tutorial. But just going with your highlighter, blush, bronzer, and anything else you tend to use. This would be where I would stop now, because I am a man and I don't wear a face full of colour cosmetics on a daily basis. But do you know what I mean? You certainly should. Why did I just stop saying, do you know what I mean? If you guys out there haven't got any stippling brushes or anything which could push the powder into the foundation, just use a beauty blender, a dry beauty blender, and just make sure you put the powder into your hand and then onto your face. But this will last all day now, and possibly all night too, which is great because Christmas is coming up, isn't it? We don't want to keep rushing off to the toilet to retouch our foundation, do we? And I'm also saving you money by avoiding you having to go out there and spend money on a separate 24-hour or longer wearing foundation. And also say, where's my this is a brilliant foundation. It's exactly my shade of skin tone, although slightly more winter to me, but it is a very, very good foundation. But they don't sell a longer wearing version in the True Match foundation. So we have now converted a regular foundation into a 24-hour stay foundation. A really easy way to remember that the whole process or method is the PPBP method, or whatever that one of those things is. I don't know what they're called, but so the first P is primer, second P powder, B base, and then the fourth P is powder again. So, and obviously you can change how you'll be using different powders and different foundations, different primers, so results you get won't be exactly the same as mine, although the whole method or the whole theory behind do you know what I mean, sealing in primer with powder and then applying foundation and then applying another layer of powder will remain the same. So okay, beautiful ones, that's today's makeup tutorial all done and dusted. Dusted? That was a pun, wasn't it? No pun intended there, guys, if you'll pardon the pun. If you enjoyed today's tutorial or found it useful, then please do give this video a thumbs up. Similarly, do consider subscribing and hit the notifications button to also you're notified each time I release new videos. And all that remains is for me to wish you guys a beautiful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Lots of love. God, it's like they're in the bloody room with you, isn't it, guys? Oh, hurry up in your own time, for goodness sakes. I mean, all they're doing is just removing black sacks from the street. You know what I mean? It's not rocket science, really, is it? No offence to any bin men out there, beautiful ones, but, oh, shush. Now we can carry on.